That's how I'm not so.
Good morning. Wow, that's working today. Different than yesterday, huh? How many of you stayed over for the night? Anybody? Stayed over in Columbia? I hope you did something fun. Hope you found something really good to eat. Columbia is an awesome place. Enjoyed it. So welcome back. You might be a little sleepy this morning. Maybe you've had some coffee. I hope you brought some coffee. How to keep you stirred away for some caffeine. But anyway, welcome back to day 2. I wanted to take a minute to show you some resources if you are new, and I'm going to leave them up here on this table so as the day goes along, some resources you can use your Title I money to purchase, some things that we really use in the office to help us understand allowability and such. So this is Jules' boyfriend. Yesterday we showed you this, Edgar. You do want to get the 5th edition, the purple copy, but it'll be up here if you want to take a look at it. And then this is a real go-to for our side of the house especially. It's called the Answer Book on Title I. It's an LRP edition. But anyway, we use this a lot. It is an easy read. So especially if you are brand new to Title I would suggest you just get it. I know it's sleepy reading, but it's an easy read, and it will really help you understand the ins and outs of all the things that you see in gyms. So when you get ready to do every link, like we talked about yesterday, this really gives a good explanation of exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it. So out of all of them, I would say Edgar and this one. Then we have another one. This is another LRP. It says, can Title I pay for this? So these are some resources that you can use your federal money to purchase for your reading and resource in your Title I office. Okay? I almost had a moment of thinking I was at church. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. I do that so much. It's like, well, that's not where I am today. Sorry, that's what a pastor's wife gets you, right? A song, it's a song. Anyway, if you are new, you did not come yesterday, welcome. You're going to see a lot of people from the Office of Federal and State Accountability, and you're going to hear from them today. These trainings are not a one-man, one-woman show, so you're going to hear from people all day long. And know that when you get back, you can call on these people for whatever your needs are. So you will have seen their faces today, have had conversations with them, let them serve as a resource for you. There was some eyeglasses left here yesterday, so if you're missing your glasses, you can find them on the registration table. Okay? All right, I think I did all the things I needed to say. The restrooms, there's 2 sets out front, and then we'll have lunch kind of like we did yesterday here in a few minutes. All right, day 2. Little table talk. Wondering how you're feeling coming into day 2. Now, this is not how you're feeling about life in general. Okay? This is how are you feeling about the work. Now that you've heard like day 1 ground level training, and today you're going to hear about the other grants, the sidebars to Title I. How are you feeling about everything? Do you feel like that little kitty kind of peeking out? You feel like a lion, I'm ready to get it. Or you like a squirrel? Oh, Father, maybe I can. Or are you kind of feeling like, I guess. I'm going to let you talk at your table about how you're feeling, okay? We'll pull back together.
If I need those things, either just slowly Yeah.
Okay. Anybody feeling like the lion? Anybody feeling like the lion? Lion? It's awesome. You might have interpreted this like, well, I feel like a lion about Title I. But maybe you feel like this, like, what you mean, I might be a REAP recipient. Never done that before. Or, what do you mean I might get some more money right before that grant closes? What you mean? Or anybody feel like this? Oh, Lord, that's too much money. Right? All of those are valid emotions. You're going to feel like all of these from time to time as you work with these grants. But you can take confidence in knowing that people are here to make sure you're doing it correctly. That's our job, to make sure that we communicate what you need to know, that you can interpret it and apply it in the correct way. So you may feel like this the whole time you're doing it in various ways, but that is okay. Sometimes I feel like this little sweet little kitty. I love a kitty cat. Like, that's new. I'll poke my head out because I know I've done a lot before, but maybe I can do that too. And if that's you, that's okay too. Okay. Yesterday, we talked some about supplement, not supplant, and we briefly touched on MOE and comparability. And I will tell you that those two areas are mainly overseen by our comm team. So Greg King is going to come today, and he's going to do a deep dive with you into maintenance of effort and comparability. And so when you walk away from today, maybe you'll have a good grasp on what that means, how to apply it, what am I supposed to do with it in gyms. And so this is Greg King, and we'll ask him to come and give you a good overview on those physical requirements. If you do not have the materials, there's a QR code that you can see all of these things at any time.
Come on, now. Good morning. All right, let's start with that. Let's talk to you all about maintenance of effort and comparability. As Jennifer said, it is part of the three latest rule, 3 pillars. Comparability, maintenance of effort flow out of supplement, not supplant. And we'll see that at approval. But before we do that, I want to go down a real quick rabbit trail. About documentation. We have noticed a trend that the documentation since the pandemic last year not good. There's a lack of sufficient documentation. Just like to put a plug in, especially on the new one. Make sure it's sufficient so when we sit down, it is self-explanatory. Have a justification, goals, return on investment, as well as all the here lifestyle teach costs. We are noticing a trend documentation in a little bit like. There's a theme with this talk. It is actually coming from an email that I received from the USCD requesting a waiver for comparability. So many districts have struggled with it. And the USCD comparability man accepts that there will be no forgiveness as far as that understand the waiver because it's a planning issue. So throughout this, I want you to think about how can we plan to meet maintenance effort and comparability. That's the USCD stuff. We have to pick a line up there. Maintenance effort. Who here has never done maintenance effort before? It's the first year doing it. Comparability and maintenance effort are not natural. It's a challenge. You have to think through it. Not helping anybody on our team feel free to call. Maintenance effort, comparability, inventory. 3 areas we usually will not go back and forth on the each situation is really unique. Speaking to folks that table there yesterday during the breakout, comparability question about 5 minutes. It would take about a dozen emails to go home. That's just easier. You get more accurate answers. Phone call. In official response, we usually ask you to write up something, send it to us. We'll approve it, send it back. That's your. If you have something in writing. Maintenance effort is a federal requirement that requires grant recipients and or sub-recipients to maintain a certain level of state and local fiscal effort to be eligible for full participation in federal grant funding. In other words, it's test effective financial effort. Maintenance effort requires LEAs to demonstrate that the level of state and local funding remains relatively constant year to year. The LEA may receive Title I funds only if the LEA has maintained its fiscal effort. In a nutshell, there's 2 key things in this maintenance effort is based on. Number 1, all federal money, federal grant awards are stripped out of the calculation. We're looking strictly at your state and local dollars. That's your supplement, not state dollars. They want to make sure that the federal dollars are used to supplement the state local dollars. But not supplant. Other thing, I encourage everybody to read the non-regulatory financial guidance on this. It also covers time that we're going into this time, but the word constant, consistent are used repeatedly. You want maintenance effort to be flat line. This is not, you know, that your bonus is based on, not once spent. What happens if you exceed it by greater amount this year? You have to meet that next year. Make it hard on yourself. Keep a flat line or possibly even a little bit lower. Give it 10%. Take advantage of it. Because it is getting harder and harder to meet. Maintenance effort, comparability, inventory are the 3 greatest sources of my doubts. And I love them. But we're here to help you. I work with probably 70% of businesses each year that are struggling between these 2 things. So be aware that it is comes down to things. And I always get ahead of myself on this one. Title I's in addition to the minimum education that all students receive. They supplement. To ensure that the sub-recipient of federal funds does not spend those funds in place of state and local dollars. You're not spending. And to ensure that sub-recipient spends your state and local funds for the same activity that would be provided with federal dollars out of them. And are you able to provide it's written in law, a minimum adequate education to students at federal level. That's based on. So we meet MOE. What does meet MOE? You don't go up like you do like you're shaking hands with, but you have to meet numbers. Maintenance effort is based on the audited financial reports. So when will your audited financial reports be ready for 2023 school? November? That's about right. So they're not ready yet. We always go back 2 years, the preceding year and the second preceding year. Doing this for 9 years, I still draw that. It's easy to get rid of. Your maintenance effort has to be at least 90% of the second preceding year, meaning you give them 10% get from the check. Usually, if you're within 10% of that number, you have met maintenance.
Question, 730550.
73
Is it like per pupil expenditure, but
That's per people expenditure. There's a good question. There's two ways to do maintenance effort. One is on a per people basis, one is on an aggregate basis. If you have trouble making maintenance effort on a per people basis, I'll work with you on that. Most of the time, it really doesn't make that much difference. There are two ways to do it. Got a lot on the screen. So your maintenance effort for 2019 is 73,550. And for 2000 is 72,4603. The dollars are short. This per pupil, 5947. Did you meet maintenance effort? Did it come? Did it meet the dollar? Answer is yes, because you're within 90%. So you met maintenance effort. And your maintenance effort for the next year will be based on the 72,4603. Get a little bit easier to meet. This is a worksheet. I have, it does not meet, accessibility standards. Email, no, I can't post it, but it's in Jennifer's book. I'll spend a few minutes on this. The federal expenditures under step 2, schedule of federal awards. Each number. Title 1 does not allow capital outlay. ESSER 3 does. ESSER 3 can affect maintenance and see growth factor. If you have a lot of capital outlay under ESSER 3, it's not very calculation. See nightmares happening next year. I've already worked with some districts and finance officials. CFOs from and there's several times. Let's see, get a sausage biscuit for the CFO, your finance person.
Yeah.
Starbucks coffee, whatever they like. Yeah, know that. This is their curve. It's your responsibility. The finance officer, CFO, has to understand what it means. Because they got to go to the project into the district. It's got to stick in their mind, this is going to draw maintenance better. I need to get with a better person for a program for finance. Sometime in January, look for the date, you get with the CFO and run and mock it. Keep going.
ESSER 3 affects just capital outlay.
You can spend ESSER 3 funds in capital outlay. There's something we're not used to with Title 1. It's in Title 1. But that can affect your capital outlay on this calculation, as well as your sheet. It's a double strategy. And that can affect your maintenance thing. I work with Stephen Strother, he's interim CFO for the agency, extensively on this. We've seen some more insight. So please be aware. Let's see. This is what it looks like in GEMS. Instead of Excel quality database, the same thing. That's our CARES Act. They close attention. Again, the USCD is not waiving their requirements. has some CARES Act, and it's make it difficult for me to run this up. The economy is also hurt. We're probably done with this. When this effort tends to affect districts, mainly this effort tends to be tough for districts under, if you receive under $5 million out of law. Found that out during the pandemic. Why? Because you don't have flexibility. It's not, I'm not cooking books, but just to shuffle the money around to make it work. Switch funds. To keep adding. Yeah, why? Sorry, this conversation is dry as a desert. We have tried to make it interesting. I am not a dynamic speaker, I'm an analyst.
You're great, Greg. You're great.
Yeah, I'm nervous. Think I'm standing doing that and bring my business. Those two things that we've been talking about, right? What happens when something's at the top of humans? Has more of an impact than the bottom line. Be very careful. If you, as the last several years has happened, get a call from District 848, it just ran, it's not working out, what can I do? With that, they need to look at it, change, give yourself time, work with it, and by getting CFO of the sausage business. You got to work with this sector, again, it's your responsibility. Collaborate. Finance director, and I've got more superintendent, finance people, and HR people, and then I would work through these things. Plan. If you hear a word about a capital project, it would be good. Can put that vote on you. Great market words. Begin planning your plans effort for next year. It will be able to be. USCD is not waiving this. There was a memorandum. I have that email to you dated June 21st, 2022, reviewing this. There are waivers I'm going to have myself too. There's waivers we get. And one of the reasons for waiver is under local circumstances that are truly unique to your district. COVID is not unique to your district. They're just counting. That's it. They make it very hard to get additional waivers. We cannot grant waiver that we will help facilitate, but that comes from USCDO. You get those things. Waivers. 3 reasons, except uncontrollable circumstances such as natural disaster. You don't want any of these reasons in your district. A precipitous unforeseen decline in the financial resources of the state. And this one may apply. I've never seen so much turnover as we have this year. May include a change in the organizational structure of the LE. We're seeing some of that. There are 2 waivers. Under ESSA, December 15, 2015, you get a 1 in 5 year free waiver. No questions asked needed. You also, they kept the standard waiver. You're allowed to apply for a waiver. We will have you apply for the waiver first and keep that free waiver. Again, nobody saw a pandemic coming. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That way, if you turn down for the waiver, you get a free one fall back. If it's approved, you get a free one fall back on that. Once every 5 years, start planning that. I put quarterly, nobody does. They speak with the finance CFO, at least in January. I'm harping on that. That is critical. You really do get about 3-4 calls every year. April, May, people are paying, and maybe too late. But never pull through every time. but it's going down the last minute. Doesn't happen. Anybody know what the penalties are for not being maintenance effort? That'll be. Lose money. How much money do you lose? If you miss a maintenance effort, let's do round numbers. By 10%. You're giving money community, you miss it by 10%. Your federal award, I don't, your total federal awards for your years by 10%. The following year. Y'all do the math. That's a lot of money that's not going to get it. The following year, you have reduced awards. Guess what number you have to be? One miss. You got to fly your way out of the hole before you start working on next year's number. It's a brutal situation. You don't want to be there. Here it is. Don't tempt fate, plan ahead. Laura, CR's phrase, we have you yesterday. Let us help. Help us help you. We're here. We're repeatedly yesterday. Don't be great at home. We're not keeping tallies, we're not lab plant or anything else. We're here to help. Just yesterday, Tom was going outside about 40 minutes to discuss the situation. That's normal. We're all getting together, trying to figure out how to help. Most time you don't see we're doing that deal. Don't bring back the wheel. If I see maintenance ever come in on a custom cell phone emergency, when I started this, about a third of the districts are using custom cell phones. Over 90% of those districts have Harrison. I honestly just projected. Use one and six. It's nice, it's boring, but it works. What you do internally, as long as it matches up with 30 seconds. And keep everything consistent. There's that word. Beware of large, anomalous capital outlays voting. Work closely with the finance. Review quarterly. Memorize them. Bring. Any questions? Oh, this was exciting stuff. Yes. Title funds. You're not allowed to use photo projects. ESSER funding, you can't. ESSER 1, 2, 3, you can't. That is up here, it's at the top. Capital outlay. That's usually your building projects. ESSER 3 is something that's never been in the calculation. It'll grow up. If you get back office, the federal awards, the CBOs, scheduled federal awards, and the capital outlay, it will grow them. But that's what you have to think about. And after this year, we'll go right back on December 31, calendar year. So we'll go back to having title funds not allowed, building expenses back to normal. But this year could be very novel. That's pretty. What I would do is I would get a round table with your federal programs folks, your CFO, get a computer on the screen and start marking on things that we're already now. How far off is it? The CFO, be aware of the cash flow, what comes in the plan, what's out plan. You have to remove it, they may not be familiar with that. That's nothing against them. That may be a woman. I need a little bit extra help. But I'll start modeling it up and keeping track. Just run some scenarios, for a scenario. And go with that, but it needs to be public flag. But
We're staying here about December 31.
that's the funds for that. So that's, again, capital outlay, it may not be in there, but if the district, that building projects that come. Right, excited about that? Again, please don't. We have no problem with cost. We'd rather work with you now than work on a wait thing. We can only do so much. Financially, there's not really. Accountability.
Right. Runs out next year. Spring forward.
I think that this is going to be something. Okay, I'm off of it. I'm off on the history. Thank you. Well, then I hear watch out for. Oh. And this effort is a test of equity. Comparability is a test of standing. Good. Comparability, the main gist of that is the USCG wants to make sure that you're not putting your best teachers, all the money for staffing into the non-title schools. They want to make sure the staffing is equitable, title schools are well represented with experienced teachers and expertise for the benefit of the children. There are technically 8 methods to calculate comparability. And every one of them during the pandemic and beyond, there's really 2 methods. Within those 8 variations, and one is the aggregate or per school amount, dollar amount payable for the FTEs. We use FTEs, Davis, that's where we got better with the districts. I can tell you from first-hand experience, the other methods and variations of it, we all come to know the document. For FTEs, so that's the method used. It is required every year that the LEA receives Title I funding. If you decide not to take Title I funding this year, you don't have to. That's never happened. So it's part of it. Maintenance effort works with finance, CFO. Whose comparability works? Your responsibility comes out of HR and finance in that order. HR handles all your hiring, onboarding. We also sign the codes for the FTE. Goes to the finance, and that's how it comes out. Actually, comparability. It can be 2 sides of this, and 2 cuts start. Well worth the month. There's some exceptions. You want to go for grade span, comparability, comparable. They're not Title I schools, Title I schools. You only have 1 school for grade span. Done. 1 large school, 1 small school. 50 and 2. If you have a school that has less than 50% of the enrollment of another school, or another school that has twice the enrollment of another, it's 2 different scales. It's not, can't compare. If your district has less than 1,000 students, there can be other exceptions to it. Comparability due dates, these are agency due dates. By November 15th, we want comparable by January 15th. If you're not, why is that? November 15th, you got numbers. You settled into the year, you submit it to us. Comparable, if you're not comfortable, get them accommodations. If you do this in May, we'll say it's maintenance effort. It's not a fast process. There's pandemic, it's 3 or 4 districts I worked through until I think it's, all different, they may not know, but it's a little more effort between the districts. Here's a timeline, I won't go through it in detail, but you can see it is basically how much you rather make sure you're comfortable. Again, it is a planning issue, there's that image. That slides. All right, we picked the FTE student teacher ratio. Use a district-wide salary schedule. Use district policy, district policy. To ensure equivalence of staff, it's usually in your neutral methodology. And the district policy to ensure equivalence and materials and those are required by this. Won't go into all this. Have questions, get turned around. Ask some really good resources. It goes in detail. We don't do expert. There's some confusion on it. Basically, you will get with the HR person. You will have them print reports, physically print. Like the federal employees for school. They'll start excluding federal too. These violations mark them on. Save the report, scan them in, put them in the gym. If there are questions, state audit, federal audit, they like the details. Also, if something's wrong, can't be accountability. I need to look through the reports. The summary that due is great, but there's no need. Need to save the meeting. 3 things you can do. If you're not comfortable, you adjust the funding source. Use another method. Sometimes you don't. Probably won't make a difference. Or you can physically move people from one school to another. That's rarely ever done that. Adjusting the funding source is the most popular option. Most common error is comparability. This is the first thing I look for. The students, the reports, as well as accountability report, and to run on the same economic answer. That's right in there. That's the most, probably a third of the reports I look at are you get it almost time to home with the state. Get a report. Title I schools are compared by grade level. Our grade spans. Who want apples to apples comparison? Can you really draw an effective comparison with the K5 for high school? What happens if you have K2 preschools? You have K2, 3, 5, and K5. Can you compare those? Very question. No, you cannot, unless on paper you combine the PK, the P2 and the 3-5, create a 3-5 grade level compared against K5. One may have 3K, one may not. That really doesn't matter. But you can do that. Not help you. If you have all Title I schools, anybody have that? There's no non-Title I. How do you compare non-Title I school to Title I school? You take at least 4 Title I school per grade level and make that your non-Title I school. And compare that together. Accountabilities run per grade span. 3 grade spans. You want 3 tests, 3 separate reports. You have the district membership account. Count using the best possible system. Protect personal finances where you pay nice. It's really in your personnel, HR talk, but again, it's your responsibility. You don't count 3 or 4-year-olds. Why is that? in the certain country. This came out in 65. Pre-K was not around 65. Never been adopted in Halo pre-K. Can't. Probably a complicated answer. Comparability procedure. Source data must be verifiable by number. Payroll reports. They go download into Excel and then play with cancer. Yeah. Those security numbers, salaries, please not include those. All the system will allow you to exclude them. If you do include them, that's fine for sure. A K-8 school can be counted as one K-5 and one 6-8. You combine, it doesn't matter if it's elementary, middle, high school, you combine grades against apples. Yes,
So if you did that, would we separate out 6A students on one? Because we have about 5 scenarios in our district, but it takes many of us for grade.
you one of those.
Yeah, we got. Good job.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So pull them out into the K-5 in the elementary and the 6A on.
you can, whatever makes sense. It answers a definite maybe. Something like that, especially Charleston, and you all have 40-something. You need an entire table. With my suggestion.
We did, but how many grade spans can we have spreadsheet? Because typically in the past, K-8 span, a K-5 span, a 6-12 span,
If it works,
9-12, can we break it out that way?
you can, as long as it works. Y'all are, you're way out of bill. In a good way, your side is good, that's attributing how well you're doing, but whatever works, it really doesn't matter. And I'll be glad to sit down with you all, that's one of the biggest questions we have at a group school. And us, whatever works. Any other questions? I blinded you. Okay. This is a spreadsheet. Down here. Come off page. On the bottom, you get the average of every numbers here. Remember maintenance and effort, they allow you 10% bonus. They do this, but you add to it, don't take it away. And that will help you meet comparability. These numbers here. To one here is not comparable. Can't see the number on the bottom, it's on the handout. And so this school needs to be worked. If you see your school not comparable, don't automatically do it, let the store, it may not be necessary. But look at this situation, verify your numbers, take a deep breath, and see what you can. That could run up for have that easy to go from. What happens when ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 handle? You can correct the ease of that. You switch from to general. And we keep that. That's gonna blow that. That's another warning sign we're seeing now. Plans today. That is absolutely the same. Exemptions. Contact us to review any and all exemptions or exceptions. That goes for our team, goes to Jewel. I'll make a decision. And we're looking at exemptions, exceptions are that year on. Keep saying that, we keep adding your request, and this be a permanent exemption or exemption. Or exception, so no, that year on. Situations include one-off schools, Montessori, Older model, and standard folks of the school. That may be exempt. If you have only one school and you cannot make it comparable, 8, 2, 3, 5, that may be. Okay. While it's in enrollment, so one school this past year, had like 1,100 students, next close school next. That was the consent. But it has to be viewed again, things thing. Assume these will not be, approved next year. Then they are, it's not your fear. Common issue. Counting the wrong people. Just to get used to. Source documentation not provided. And it's downloaded to Excel or I cannot say. Has to be source documentation from the HR. This has seemed old, but we're still facing it. Some districts are still, I work back for the districts since the pandemic. I mean, instead of comfortability, still. The way it was comfortability. I mean, it has never not been met. Do not be the first. We do not want someone to break that record. Unique situation. We'll meet with you on the telephone. I wish it was standardized enough I could do that and keep it on the website. But every situation is really unique, and most of the situations we couldn't publish anyway. So bear with us or arrange meetings. We've had additional people on there to do like a consensus sort of system. Contract teachers. Can you count contract teachers? A lot of them, isn't it?
What? And so do they count?
That's a promise to you. Did they count or can you not count?
Oh, it's being processed. And are-
Are the teachers properly certified or the teachers? If the contract teacher is properly certified in the area they're teaching in biology, they count the same with that. If not, count as a parapro. How do you count parapros versus certified teacher? 0.5. 0.5 of their FTE. If they're 0.75 FTE, you count them as 0.37. Comparability. Why do they do that? I don't know. Contract teachers, like your shade, split the teacher short. Just be aware of that. Oh, we're done. Anyway. It's not as bad as it sounds. Going through this, I want to turn that little cat and go all in that little tubby. And sometimes it's like, I'll just run over you and be rude. There ain't nothing natural about it. It takes getting used to. It takes several years. People, it's not even slow. You got enough going on, don't stress about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. We're gonna do a little bit of finance and then we'll take a break, okay? So some basic finance facts. When you are a federal programs director, you wear two hats. One hat is program and one hat is finance. And you kind of learn like your balance between the two, what pieces, you really kind of learn what pieces am I best at, what pieces do I need to lean into other people about, who can I bounce ideas off of. We do that even at the State Department. This morning I came in and said, Jewel, I need to bounce an idea off of you. So learn that, learn your people, learn your strengths, learn other people's strengths, especially those people that you work hand in hand with to get the job done. So that being said, I'm going to ask you to put on both hats for just a minute. Put on your program hat and your finance hat as we begin to talk about planning. Now for the Title I grant, the planning has already occurred. You've already turned it all in, but you're in the middle of working on Title II and Title IV. So that being said, there's still planning in progress. And next year, you'll be doing the Title I project yourself, and you'll want to do this at that point as well. And if you amend the grant, you'll want to do the same thing. So yesterday, Mr. Pat Signatelli, he talked to you about a needs assessment. So I want to kind of throw this idea out at you. Sometimes it's very easy to think like, what am I going to do with this money? And I want you to train yourself to think differently, to learn to plan across all the grants. What can Title I do for me to meet a need? What can Title II come in to meet a need for? And so when you do a comprehensive needs assessment, you're looking at the needs across everything, the district, the Title I schools, and all of that. And I want you to start thinking about how can you align the funding sources to meet the needs and to have targeted goals. So the long story of it is, let's align everything so we're not having to do double and triple work, right? So lay the needs out and figure out, okay, what can Title I do to help meet that need? Okay, how can Title II come in and help meet this need? And you do it like that, rather than, I need to get the Title I plan done. Okay, now I need to get the Title II plan done. Okay, I got so-and-so amount of money. What activity can I pull from the sky for this amount of money? And I plug it in there. Okay, that is not how to effectively plan. It should never be, okay, I got this amount of money. I think that system costs about this amount of money. I'll just use this old money, and it's all scattered all over the place. That's not what you want to do. Okay, you want to lay it all out and figure out. Okay, let's talk about what Title IV is meant to do, what Title II can do, what Title I can do, and even maybe what REAP can do to help all of that. Okay, and so you do that through data review, root cause analysis. You can use logic models. You look at your inputs, your benchmarks, your short-term outcomes, long-term outcomes. Use all of that. What am I trying to do? What goal am I trying to get? What am I targeting? And how can these funds support that? Okay, so that's what you want to do. And you want to coordinate the resources to meet aligned needs of students, teachers, and parents served by these programs. And so as we go through the day, you'll start to see like Title II is really meant to assist with teachers, effective instruction. It's going to home in on what can I do for the teachers. Okay, whereas Title I, you kind of put on your student hat. What can I do for these kids? Okay, Title IV will pick up, okay, what can I do as far as like safe and healthy or technology? It'll kind of walk hand in hand with Title I. You begin to think about it in terms of allowability per grant. And within the PowerPoint that you have, we've linked in a couple of resources. And so sometimes it's just nice to have like a checklist when you're planning. What is allowable in Title II? Okay, this allowable use of funds document is good for that. It's got a yes column and a no column. And that's pretty simplistic, but it's a quick checklist of, could I do this? Could I not do this? So you can download that. I tell you, I have it on my desk. So when I'm reading what you want to do, sometimes I have to pull it and look. Look in the no column, look in the yes column. So use these resources that we have for you. Fund your plan rather than plan your funds. And that's what I was just talking about. You want to fund your plan. When I lay it all out, this is what I need to do. How can I use Title I money to do this? How can I use Title II money to hit this goal? All like a comprehensive needs assessment, all targeted in the same fashion. Okay, we'll talk for just a minute about an escalation model. Just like you have expectations in your district of when things need to be turned in, so when you tell the principals, okay, I need this turned in by this date, and I expect this by this date, and if you can't meet the deadline, I need for you to tell me, and you communicate all those expectations. We have the same on our side. So this is the escalation model. Now, you may have seen it looking differently in trainings past. This has been made accessible for the website, so that's why it will look a little differently today. You may have seen it in a different format before, but this is our steps for when we receive projects by the due date. So like Title I, when is it due? When is Title II due? When is Title IV due? Did it come in on time? Have you asked for an extension? So I wanted you to see what we go by as far as deadlines not being met programmatically on our side. When program managers will contact you, when they have to contact me to say something is late, when I have to contact the director, and so forth and so on. So you want to take the time to know what is expected programmatically as far as due dates are concerned. We need to set due dates. Otherwise, the money gets left on the table, right? And in the past, to be honest, we might see projects coming in for approval. I hate to even say this in front of Jewel. I'm doing a much better job tracking this time. But sometimes I will see a GAPS budget, the initial GAPS budget come in way too late. And in my mind, I'm thinking, did you need the money? Let's not. That's just being real, right? Like, get it in, get it claimed, okay? I shouldn't have to have the thoughts of, you don't need the money, because we know the kids need the money. So this is the escalation model programmatic wise. And then we have those claiming expectations for gaps, getting the claims turned in on time. And what is the expectation? This is a good guide for you, and we do track on our side. Sheree Mosley does this tracking, and so she pulls it by quarter to take a look at, did the district meet our expectation? And then she sends out an email accordingly. So for Title I, if you're brand new to Title I, you need to keep in mind that when that project is turned in, the majority of the funds are supposed to be spent the first year of the grant. So 85% is supposed to be expended year one. You're trying to meet the 15%. And if you cannot meet the 15%, that's a conversation we need to have on our side to see if you are eligible for a waiver or not, because if you miss it and you should have met it, then that results in another reduction of funds. So Greg described one way of having reduction of funds. Another reduction is with Title I. Now, these other grants don't have, by law, like an 85% that has to be met year one. But we do have expectations on our side because we want to see you claiming on a regular basis. That's just good financial practice. Okay, that you're claiming based on what is in those projects. And so if you are new to Title I, I give you like a down and dirty nitty gritty of a way to track that. So you got all these school-wide plans for Title I. And the principals have said, this is how I need to spend my money. I need 15 Fontaine kits. I'm going to do these parenting events. I need certain supplies for SIM. Well, it's your responsibility to see that they're purchasing the things that they said that they needed in a timely manner. Okay, like look and see when do they need the Fontaine kits. We shouldn't be getting to the end of the grant and they're just now buying them. Okay, you should be purchasing these things on an as-needed basis, like the start of school. Do you need certain things? And you need to track, like, if you said you need 15 kids, did you purchase 15 or did you just purchase 10? Because that's gonna leave a little bit of money in that activity that later on is gonna have to be amended to go somewhere else. And that's where amendments come from. So you should be helping the principals as the federal programs person to track what's going on in those plans and are they purchasing those things in a timely manner. That's how that fits into this. And so you will see it scale up as the quarters go along till we get to the end where no money is left on the table. You might say, well, Jennifer, where does this additional funding come from that you're going to give out in the 22 grants after August 15th? The money that you left on the table. I don't want to give it back to the U.S. Department of Ed. I'm going to give it back out. Now, if you left it, I'm probably not going to give it to you. But your colleagues across the state are going to have to do work that they don't want to do. Can I get an amen? Yes. And we're doing work we don't want to do. Can I get an amen? We're running 1,000 cans because money got left on the table. That's just the nitty gritty of it. And so therefore, that's how these claiming expectations are so important for you to track what's going on in each of those grants. And we gave you a nifty chart to help you with your principles. You say, by quarter so-and-so, the expectation is that 95% should be claimed. Have we done it? So you can share these expectations as you need to help you reinforce what you need to on your side. Okay? And like I said earlier, Sheree Mosley does this tracking and she sends out emails. And that is something that Jewel and I look at. We look to see how your district is doing with the claiming, because it is just good financial practice to be claiming as each quarter kind of rolls in based on what's in that project. Now you might say, Sheree, I'm not going to meet it for quarter 3 because of this reason. Okay, you can reach out to her with an email and let her know, I don't anticipate meeting it, and this is why. You might say, I've got to run summer school, and so one of the quarters will be larger than the other. That way she knows and she doesn't have to email you. She already knows what to expect. So you can communicate like that, okay? We like to talk. Can't you tell? You just say what's going on, so we know what's going on within your district. Okay, remember that yesterday I said the August 15th deadline is one that is very important, and that is because there is an automatic shutdown on that date that I can't do anything about. So please make sure that you understand the importance of August the 15th claiming. Okay, I'm gonna have Sarah Waiters come around and talk to you about grant award notification reminders. She is the GAN queen for our office. So she's going to talk to you about some of the language that you'll see in the GANs.
Hey, I just want to speak with you a little bit about your grant award notification. Jennifer and Ann touched on how important it is to go over a grant award notice when you receive it. You'll notice that you have 45 days after the end of a quarter to submit claims for that quarter. That's very important for the fourth quarter because that's the August 15th date that Jennifer just hit on. Also, our GANs go from September 30th. Now the final date to claim is December 30th. So what that means is funds need to be obligated by that September 30th date. So you need to make sure that your goods and services have been purchased, your contracts have been signed, things of that nature have taken place. And then you have until December 30th to claim. Unique entity identifier. This is something that the OMB put into place last year. So all districts now have that UEI number. This is important because you need to make sure that it's kept up to date. What we're having to do as program managers is make sure that it's up to date before giving out funds. And then as the grant continues, the grant accounting office is having to make sure that it's kept up to date as well. Okay, indirect costs. So if you pull a GAN from last year, you'll see that we did have to create amended GANs to update this indirect cost at the start of the fiscal year. But we won't be doing that this year because there is new language in the GAN stating that the negotiated indirect cost rate or the indirect cost allocation will now be in effect throughout the entire award. But we will be inputting the new rate into GEMS. That means that you're going to have to go in and adjust your plan for this new rate in both GEMS and GAPS. All right, let's take a moment and take like a 10-minute break. Let you get up and stretch. And then when you come back, you're going to hear from the team that you hadn't heard from yet.